The girl in the red coat is a mysterious figure. She is connected to a cold case. This case haunted 3 generations. The unsolved mysteries surrounding the girl in the red coat left a lasting impact across decades, captivating and puzzling multiple family lines. For 46 years, the murder of 8-year-old Sophie Brennan remained unsolved. Her red coat became an iconic symbol in her small town's collective memory. The case haunted 3 generations of local police. A home renovation uncovered a hidden attic space containing crucial evidence. This evidence was linked to a man long dead. He was a respected community figure whose family never suspected his dark secret. DNA analysis finally provided answers to the case. However, it raised disturbing questions about other unsolved disappearances from the same era. The Millbrook police station hummed with its usual quiet activity. Detective Sarah Brennan hunched over her desk. She was surrounded by stacks of cold case files. Bright lights shone harshly on her tired face. The stark lighting etched deep shadows under her eyes.
Sarah, got a minute? There's something you need to see.
Chief Thomas Garrett's voice interrupted Sarah's focus. She looked up from her work. Sarah noticed unusual tension in the chief's normally composed demeanor. This caught her attention immediately.
What is it, Chief?
We have new evidence in the Sophie Brennan case. A red coat was discovered in a hidden attic space. It was found in her old house. Forensics believes the coat might belong to Sophie.
Sarah's heart rate quickened. A mix of excitement and dread flowed through her. She felt a surge of emotions. Sarah stood up from her chair. The chair made a scraping sound. It moved against the floor as she rose.
After all these years, where exactly was it found? And why now?
The current owners were doing some renovations. They discovered a hidden part of the attic. I think you should head over there. Take a look for yourself.
Sarah nodded and reached for her jacket. Her family's history with this case weighed heavily on her. She felt the pressure burdening her shoulders.
I'm on it. Thanks, Chief.
Sarah drove through the familiar streets of Millbrook. Memories of her childhood intertwined with Sophie's case details. She had memorized these details over the years. The beautiful storefronts of Main Street caught her attention. They seemed to mock the hidden darkness she knew existed in the town. She arrived at Sophie's childhood home. It was a Victorian house that had seen better days. Yellow police tape moved gently in the wind. The tape marked off the property.
Detective Brennan, over here.
The evidence technician waved her over to a ladder. The ladder led up to the attic. Sarah took a deep breath. She braced herself for what she might find.
Show me where you found it.
They climbed into the musty attic. Sarah's flashlight shone in the darkness. The light revealed decades of dust. It also uncovered forgotten memories from the past.
It was behind this false wall. Looks like it was deliberately hidden.
Sarah's gaze fell on the red coat. It was carefully laid out on a plastic sheet. The coat's vibrant color seemed out of place in the gloomy attic. It was like a splash of blood against the weathered wood.
My God. It's just like the descriptions in the case file.
Sarah's hand trembled slightly as she reached out. She hesitated, not quite touching the fabric. The weight of her grandfather's unsolved case bore down on her. Her family's pain and the town's secrets lingered in the air. All these elements came together in this crucial moment.
We need to run every possible test. This includes DNA analysis, fiber examination, and more. These tests could provide the breakthrough we've been waiting for.
Already on it, Detective. We'll have preliminary results soon.
The technician carefully bagged the evidence. Sarah stood back, her mind racing. She could almost hear her grandfather's voice. It urged her to find the truth. The attic suddenly felt oppressive. The air was thick with silent suspicions.
I'm going to solve this, Sophie. I promise.
Her whispered vow hung in the air. It challenged secrets buried for far too long. Sarah knew this discovery was significant. She was pulling on a thread of truth. This could reveal the hidden reality of Millbrook. The town's false appearance was at risk. Sarah realized her actions might expose long-hidden lies. Sarah descended from the attic. Her determination solidified as she reached the bottom. She was ready to face any cost or truth about her family and town. Sarah was committed to seeing this investigation through to the end. The red coat was only the beginning of her journey. Millbrook's town center had a charming appearance. However, Detective Sarah Brennan knew darkness lurked beneath the surface. She stood before the weathered police station, taking in the scene. Suddenly, a chill ran down her spine. This unexpected sensation occurred despite the warm summer breeze surrounding her. The contrast between the picturesque town and her unease was palpable.
This is it. Time to face the ghosts.
Sarah took a deep breath and pushed open the heavy wooden door. The familiar scent of old paper and coffee greeted her as she entered. Chief Garrett looked up from his desk. His expression was a mixture of concern and something else. Sarah couldn't quite place the other emotion.
Sarah, good to see you. Are you sure you want to go down this road again?
I have to do this, Chief. We owe it to Sophie and my grandfather. This new evidence could change everything.
Chief Garrett's jaw tightened slightly. The movement was almost imperceptible. He nodded in response. Then, he gestured towards the archives.
You know where everything is located. However, you should proceed with caution. This town has a long memory. Not everyone wants to revisit the past.
Sarah made her way to the archives. The burden of long unsolved cases weighed heavily on her. She pulled out dusty boxes labeled Brennan, Sophie, 1985. Suddenly, a voice startled her.
I thought I'd find you here.
Jack Holden leaned against the doorframe. A hesitant smile played on his face.
Jack? What are you doing here?
I heard whispers about the case being reopened. I thought you might need some help. Perhaps you could use an additional perspective. Maybe you'd also appreciate a friendly face around.
Sarah hesitated. She had spent years working alone. Now she felt conflicted about needing an ally. Her long-term solitude clashed with the growing realization that she could benefit from support.
I appreciate it, but this isn't just another story, Jack. It's personal.
I understand the situation. That's precisely why you shouldn't handle this by yourself. My family has deep roots in Millbrook. We've been here for generations. I might have information that's not in those files.
Sarah studied Jack's face. She saw the sincerity in his eyes. After a moment, Sarah nodded.
All right, let's proceed. We'll do this by following proper procedures. We won't jump to hasty conclusions. Nothing will be printed without solid evidence to support it.
Deal. So where do we start?
Sarah pulled out a photograph. The photograph was faded. It showed a young woman. The woman had haunting eyes.
We start with Sophie. We need to retrace her steps. We must re-interview anyone still alive who knew her. It's likely we missed a crucial detail.
They were examining the files in the archives. The quiet atmosphere was suddenly disturbed. The sound of approaching footsteps broke the silence. Chief Garrett appeared in the doorway. His face was unreadable.
Sarah, a word?
Sarah exchanged a glance with Jack. She then followed the chief. They went into the hallway.
I've been thinking. Maybe it's best if we keep this investigation unofficial. For now.
Unofficial? Chief, with all due respect, this is a cold case. It's our job to...
I know. But you have to understand something. Reopening this case could cause problems. It might create many issues for us. This could affect both the department and the town.
Sarah's eyes narrowed. Her instincts were on high alert. The chief's tone had suddenly changed. This unexpected shift caught Sarah's attention, prompting her to be more watchful.
What aren't you telling me, Chief?
Nothing. Just be careful, Sarah. Some doors are better left closed.
Chief Garrett walked away from Sarah. She felt a sudden chill run through her. The chill had nothing to do with the cool hallway. Sarah turned back towards the archives, her jaw set firmly with determination.
Jack, I think we're onto something bigger than we realized, and not everyone wants us digging.
All the more reason to keep going. What's our next move?
We need to talk to my grandmother. She might know about grandfather's work. If anyone has information, it's her.
Sarah and Jack prepared to leave. They felt the weight of unseen eyes following them. The ghosts of Millbrook were stirring. Sarah knew uncovering the truth might come at a cost. She wasn't sure she was ready to pay that price. The eerie atmosphere heightened their sense of unease as they contemplated their next move. The digital clock on Sarah's nightstand blinked 3:17 a.m. Its red glow cast eerie shadows across her sparse bedroom. Sarah lay awake, tangled in sheets damp with sweat. Her mind raced with fragmented images of crime scene photos. She also thought about her grandfather's case notes.
God, not again.
Sarah sat up and ran a hand through her messy hair. The weight of unsolved mysteries pressed down on her chest. Each breath was a conscious effort. She reached for the case file on her bedside table. Her fingers trembled slightly as she opened it.
There has to be something I'm missing. Some connection.
Hours passed as the room gradually brightened. The pale light of dawn crept in. Sarah's eyes were bloodshot from exhaustion. Her posture was hunched over scattered papers. A decision became clear in her mind.
I need to talk to Gran. She has to know more than she's letting on.
Later that morning, Sarah stood on the porch of her grandmother's Victorian house. The once cheerful yellow paint was now faded and peeling. Sarah took a deep breath. She gathered her courage for the conversation ahead.
Sarah, what are you doing here so early?
Margaret Brennan's voice was sharp. Her eyes narrowed as she observed her granddaughter. The girl's appearance was noticeably disheveled. Margaret's keen gaze took in every detail of her granddaughter's messy state.
Morning, Gran. I need to talk to you about Grandpa's case. About Sophie.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Not this again? Come in before the neighbors start gossiping.
The interior of the house was dim and musty. It was filled with small ornaments and faded photographs. Sarah followed her grandmother into the living room. Margaret lowered herself into an armchair with a weary sigh.
I thought we'd been through this, Sarah. Your grandfather did everything he could on that case. It nearly broke him. Now you're letting it consume you, too.
I'm not letting anything consume me, Gran. I'm trying to find justice for Sophie and all the other victims. There's new evidence that has come to light. These are things Grandpa might not have known about.
Margaret's face paled slightly. Her fingers tightened on the arms of her chair.
New evidence? What kind of evidence?
I can't discuss the details of an ongoing investigation. But I know there's more to this story. Something connects Sophie to our family. Why won't you tell me?
A tense silence filled the room. Margaret's gaze drifted to a photograph on the mantel. The picture showed a younger version of herself. In the photo, she was with Sarah's grandfather. The image seemed to hold Margaret's attention, a silent reminder of times past.
Some secrets are better left buried, Sarah, for everyone's sake.
But Gran, people died. More could be in danger. How can you sit there and...
Enough.
Margaret's voice cracked like a whip. Her eyes flashed intensely. They revealed a mix of anger and fear.
You have no idea what you're stirring up. Your grandfather made important choices. These choices were to protect this family. They were also made to protect you.
Protect me? From what? Gran, please, I need to understand.
Margaret seemed to deflate. She suddenly looked older. Every one of her years became visible. The change in her appearance was dramatic and instantaneous.
Go home, Sarah. Let the past rest. Nothing good will come from digging it up.
Sarah stood up. She felt conflicting emotions. Frustration and determination battled inside her.
I can't do that, Gran. I won't. Whatever Grandpa was involved in, I'll uncover it. I'm going to find out what he was trying to hide. And I'm determined to make it right.
As Sarah turned to leave, she caught a glimpse of fear in her grandmother's eyes. This sight only strengthened Sarah's resolve. Dark secrets lay buried in Millbrook's past. Sarah was determined to unearth them, no matter the cost. The abandoned mill loomed before Sarah. Its crumbling structure was a stark reminder of Millbrook's vanishing industrial era. Sarah approached the rusted gates of the old building. The weight of history seemed to press down on her as she walked. She knew this place held secrets about Sophie's disappearance.
This is where it all began. Where Sophie was last seen alive.
Sarah's voice was barely above a whisper. Her eyes scanned the overgrown path to the mill's entrance. She pushed open the heavy door. A familiar voice called out from behind her.
Sarah? I thought I might find you here.
Sarah turned to see Jack Holden. He was holding a notepad in his hand. Jack's face showed a mix of concern and curiosity.
Jack, I should have known you'd be sniffing around too. Old habits die hard, huh?
Says the detective, who can't let go of a decades-old case. Mind if I join you?
Sarah hesitated for a moment. Then she nodded in agreement. They entered the old mill together. The musty air surrounded them. It carried whispers of secrets from the past.
I've been thinking, Jack. This place isn't just about Sophie anymore. I have a feeling there's more to this story. It's more than we ever knew.
What do you mean?
Just a hunch. But I need solid evidence. That's why I'm here.
They explored the large, hollow interior. Sarah's flashlight beam danced across the space. It revealed rusted machinery and graffiti-covered walls. Jack's presence was both comforting and unsettling. It reminded Sarah of simpler times. It also highlighted the complexity of their shared history.
Sarah, I know we haven't always agreed, but I want you to know I'm here to help. Whatever you discover, I'll support you.
I appreciate that, Jack. But be careful what you wish for. This case could change everything. It might have a big impact on Millbrook.
Hours later, the sun began to set. Sarah and Jack found themselves at the local diner. They were both lost in thought over cups of coffee. Hushed conversations of other patrons filled the air. These whispers created a low hum in the background.
Did you hear about that girl from a nearby town? She vanished without a trace. It's just like what happened to that Brennan girl years ago.
Sarah's head snapped up suddenly. Her eyes met Jack's across the room. He gave a barely noticeable nod. This confirmed that he had heard it too.
Jack, we need to look into this. If there's a connection...
It could blow the whole case wide open. But Sarah, be careful. You're treading on dangerous ground here.
I know, but I can't stop now. Not when we're this close to the truth.
As they left the diner, the weight of their discovery hung heavy in the air. Sarah knew her investigation had just taken a significant turn. This new development would challenge everything she thought she knew. It would affect her understanding of Sophie's case, her family, and her hometown. Sarah realized that uncovering the truth might change her perspective on everything she held dear. Detective Sarah Brennan stood in Chief Garrett's office. Her heart was racing as she prepared to present her findings. The air felt thick with tension. The weight of long-held secrets pressed down on them both.
Chief, I've uncovered some disturbing evidence. This evidence is related to the Sophie Brennan case. There are connections here that go deeper than we thought. The implications of these findings are significant and unexpected.
Sarah, I appreciate your dedication. But are you sure about this? Your personal connection to the case might be affecting you. I'm concerned it could influence your decision-making.
Chief Garrett's forehead wrinkled as he spoke. A look of concern appeared on his face. Sarah noticed his unease. She continued speaking, her voice firm yet intense.
With all due respect, sir, this isn't about my family. It's about justice. Look at these files. There are obvious differences in the original reports. Someone deliberately altered key details.
These are serious allegations, Detective. You understand the implications of what you're suggesting?
I do, Chief. That's why I need your support to dig deeper. This goes beyond just Sophie's case. I think we're looking at a systematic cover-up. It spans decades. We need to investigate this long-term, organized concealment thoroughly.
Chief Garrett's face paled visibly. He turned away from the others. He stared out the window at Main Street below. The quaint street had a beautiful appearance. Now it seemed like a mask, hiding ugly truths.
Sarah, I need time to process this information. For now, please keep it to yourself. We can't risk causing panic in the town. We don't have concrete proof yet.
But, sir...
That's an order, Detective. Dismissed.
Sarah left the police station, frustrated but undeterred. She headed for the town hall archives. A musty smell of old paper greeted her. She entered the dimly lit room. Sarah spent hours examining dusty files and faded reports. Her trained eye caught inconsistencies that others might have missed. With each discovery, she felt a chill run down her spine.
Oh my God. This goes all the way back to the Mills closure. How many people were involved in this?
Sarah began to piece together the clues. The true extent of the cover-up became clear. It wasn't just about Sophie. The deception involved power and money. A network of lies had trapped the town for generations. Sarah's phone buzzed with a text message. She felt a chill of fear as she read it. The message was an anonymous threat.
Drop the case now, or you'll end up like Sophie. Some secrets should stay buried.
Sarah's hands shook with nervousness. Despite this, her resolve grew stronger. She knew she was on the right path. There was no going back now. The situation had become intensely personal. The dense New England forest loomed before Sarah and Jack. They stepped out of Sarah's weathered police cruiser. The air hung heavy with moisture. A light mist clung to the undergrowth, obscuring the path ahead. Sarah's face showed determination. She checked her flashlight and gun, ready to proceed.
Jack, are you sure this is the spot your source mentioned?
Positive, Sarah. My contact reports seeing unusual activity here. This happened last week. It was right around the time those old case files resurfaced.
Sarah nodded curtly, her eyes scanning the tree line. The weight of her family's legacy pressed down on her shoulders. It drove her forward, despite the shiver running down her back.
All right, let's move. Stay close and keep your eyes open for anything out of place.
They pushed deeper into the forest. The dense plants caught at their ankles. Jack struggled to keep up with Sarah's determined pace. His reporter's instincts clashed with a growing feeling of unease. Despite his curiosity, Jack felt increasingly nervous as they ventured further into the woods.
Sarah, wait up. What exactly are we looking for out here?
Anything will do, Jack. We need a clue or a piece of evidence. It should link Sophie's case to the others. My gut feeling tells me something. We're close to a big breakthrough.
Suddenly, Sarah froze in her tracks. Her hand shot out to stop Jack. Sarah's eyes narrowed as she focused. She spotted something partially hidden among fallen leaves. The object caught her attention, buried beneath the forest debris.
There. Do you see it?
Jack squinted as he followed Sarah's gaze. They approached the shape, which became clearer. It was a tattered piece of fabric. The fabric's once vibrant color had faded. Time and the weather had muted its appearance.
Is that...
It matches the description of Jenny Carlson's clothing. She disappeared 3 years ago. And look, there's more information.
Sarah carefully brushed aside leaves and dirt. She revealed a small cluster of personal effects. Among the items were a hair clip and a tarnished locket. There was also a faded photograph.
This isn't just about Sophie anymore, Jack. We're looking at a pattern, possibly spanning decades.
My God, Sarah. Do you think all these cases are connected?
I'm almost certain of it. And whoever's behind this has gone to great lengths to keep it hidden.
As they documented and collected the evidence, a realization dawned. The importance of their finding weighed heavily on their minds. The partnership between detective and journalist grew stronger. They were united by the significance of the truth they now held.
Sarah, this is huge. We need to get this information out there. Warn the public.
No, not yet. We can't risk tipping off whoever's responsible. We need to be smart about this, Jack.
Hours later, they gathered in Jack's newspaper office. The cluttered space was filled with evidence. They carefully examined the information before them. Connections emerged between cases once thought unrelated. As they studied the details, a pattern began to form, linking seemingly separate incidents into a cohesive whole.
I've been digging through old records, Sarah. There's a name that keeps coming up in connection with these cases. It's someone who was in a position of authority back then. This person still holds sway in town today.
Who is it, Jack?
Jack hesitated. His expression was serious. He met Sarah's intense gaze.
It's Chief Garrett's mentor, former Mayor Richard Hawthorne.
Hawthorne? But he's...
He remains a significant power player in Millbrook. Sarah, his involvement suggests a more complex situation. This matter goes deeper than we ever imagined.
Sarah leaned back, her mind racing. The pieces were falling into place. However, the picture they formed was horrifying. It was more frightening than she had dared to imagine. She locked eyes with Jack. A silent understanding passed between them. There was no turning back now.
We're in dangerous territory, Jack. From here on out, we trust no one but each other. Understood?
Understood. Whatever it takes, Sarah. We're going to bring this truth to light.
Night fell over Millbrook. Sarah and Jack stood at the edge of a dark conspiracy. A web of lies and deceit stretched out before them. Richard Hawthorne was at the center of it all. The real investigation was only just beginning. Before we continue, let's take a moment to reflect. What are your thoughts about this story? What would you like to hear next? Please share your ideas in the comments. The once welcoming streets of Millbrook now seemed unwelcoming to Detective Sarah Brennan. As she made her way through town, she felt the atmosphere change. Sideways glances and hushed whispers followed her every move. This was a stark contrast to the friendly faces she'd known all her life.
Just need to grab a coffee. Then I'll head back to the station. Focus on the facts, Sarah. Don't let them get to you.
Sarah approached the local diner. A group of longtime residents abruptly fell silent. Their eyes followed Sarah as she entered. The residents showed a mix of suspicion and fear in their gazes. The atmosphere in the diner suddenly became tense and unwelcoming.
Well, if it isn't our very own Nancy Drew. Still digging up bones, Detective Brennan?
Just doing my job, Mr. Fletcher. Sam as always.
Sarah's voice remained steady. Her knuckles whitened as she gripped the diner's door handle. Inside, the usual chatter quieted. The noise diminished to a low murmur.
Your job? It seems to me you're trying to ruin this town's good name. Some things are better left in the past, girl.
Justice doesn't have an expiration date, Mr. Fletcher. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Sarah made her way to the counter. She felt very conscious of the stairs on her back. As she waited for her coffee, her phone buzzed. It was a text message from Chief Garrett.
My office. Now, we need to talk about your recent activities.
Sarah's jaw clenched as she read the message. The chief's tone had grown increasingly cold recently. This was a stark change from his previous behavior. He had once been a supportive mentor to Sarah.
On my way, Chief.
Sarah hurried out of the diner. Forgetting her coffee, she rushed towards the police station. The town's silence weighed heavily on her, yet this only strengthened her determination. Sarah arrived at the station. She found Chief Garrett waiting for her. His face showed stern disapproval.
Detective Brennan, I've been receiving complaints. The complaints are about your overzealous approach to this investigation. You're stirring up trouble unnecessarily. There's no need for this level of disruption.
With all due respect, Chief, I'm following the evidence. Something happened to Sophie. This incident is linked to other cases. The people of this town deserve to know the truth.
The truth? Or is it your version of it? Sarah, you're seeing connections that aren't there. This obsession isn't healthy. It's affecting your judgment.
My judgment is fine, Chief. It's a judgment of others that should be questioned. I'm referring to the people who've hidden information for decades. Their decision to keep these secrets is what we need to examine.
Chief Garrett's face hardened suddenly. A fleeting expression crossed his features. Was it fear or anger? He quickly regained his composure, returning to a neutral expression.
I'm ordering you to stand down, Detective. This case is officially closed. Any further investigation will be considered insubordination. Am I clear?
Crystal, Chief, but you should know. I can't let this go. Not now. Not ever.
As Sarah turned to leave, a heavy burden weighed on her. Years of kept secrets threatened to crush her spirit. But in that moment, she made a crucial decision. The truth would come out, regardless of the consequences. Outside the station, Sarah took a deep breath. Her mind was racing with thoughts. She needed an ally to help her, someone who could navigate the treacherous waters ahead. There was only one person she could think of.
Jack, I need your help. Meet me at the old mill in an hour. It's time to break the silence.
Sarah headed towards the abandoned mill. The imposing building held many secrets from decades past. She felt uneasy, sensing someone was watching her. The town around her was eerily quiet. Despite the unsettling atmosphere, Sarah was determined to uncover the truth hidden within the silent community. The crisp autumn air carried a sense of dread. Detective Sarah Brennan stood on the porch of a grieving family's home. This was the third interview of the day. The burden of unsolved cases weighed heavily upon her shoulders.
Mrs. Lawson, I'm Detective Sarah Brennan. Thank you for agreeing to speak with me. We're here to discuss your daughter's case.
Come in, Detective. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this. But if there's even a small chance it could help, I'm willing to try.
Sarah stepped inside the room. Her observant eyes noticed the faded photographs on the walls. These were snapshots of a family changed by a tragic event. She settled into an armchair across from Mrs. Lawson. Mrs. Lawson, shaking hands, showed her distress. Despite trying to appear composed, her unsteady movements revealed her inner turmoil.
I know this is difficult, Mrs. Lawson. I believe your daughter going missing might be connected to other cases. These are cases I'm currently investigating. Can you tell me about the last day you saw her?
The day started like any other. Carly was excited about her new job at the mill. She left for work that morning. We never saw her again.
Sarah's brow furrowed as she jotted down notes. The mention of the mill sent a chill down her spine. It was another connection to the source of Millbrook's hidden truths. Sarah sensed the gravity of this discovery. feeling the weight of the town's dark secrets.
Did Carly ever mention anyone at work who made her uncomfortable? Did she talk about any unusual events around town?
She mentioned feeling watched sometimes. There was an older man who caught her attention. I can't recall his name. He always seemed to be around when she finished work.
Sarah's phone buzzed in her pocket. She looked at her phone discreetly. It was a message from Jack Holden.
Sarah, we need to talk. I've discovered something important. It's about my uncle's involvement with the mill. The information is concerning.
Sarah's heart raced with anxiety. Jack had been her unwavering support throughout the investigation. However, a new development arose. This unexpected turn threatened to complicate everything.
Thank you, Mrs. Lawson. You've been very helpful. I promise you I'm doing everything I can. My goal is to find out what happened to Carly and the others.
Sarah left the Lawson residence. As she departed, she felt a familiar mixture of emotions. Determination and dread filled her mind. The pieces were starting to fit together. However, the picture they formed was horrifying. It was more terrifying than she had imagined. She climbed into her car. She dialed Jack's number. Her fingers were shaking a little as she did so.
Jack, it's me. What did you find out about your uncle?
Sarah, I'm struggling to tell you something. My uncle's name is linked to the mill. This connection relates to when the girls disappeared. I believe he may have been involved somehow.
Sarah's grip tightened on the steering wheel. A sudden revelation hit her hard. It felt like a physical blow. This threatened to unravel her fragile connection with Jack. The news shook her deeply, jeopardizing the delicate bond they had been building.
Jack, I'm so sorry. We need to follow this lead. Can you meet me at the diner? I'll be there in 20 minutes.
Yeah, of course. Sarah, I want you to know something important. No matter what we discover about my family, I'm with you on this. We need to uncover the truth. It might get ugly, but we'll face it together.
Sarah drove towards the diner. Her mind raced with the impact of what she had learned. The web of secrets in Millbrook ran deeper than she had ever imagined. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was getting closer to a truth. This truth would dramatically change the town's very core. Sarah parked her car and took a deep breath. She prepared herself for the conversation ahead. The weight of generational secrets and unsolved crimes pressed down on her, but Sarah Brennan was determined to see this through. She would proceed, no matter the cost. The fluorescent lights of the police station flickered ominously. Detective Sarah Brennan examined the newly uncovered evidence closely. Her fingers trembled slightly as she traced connections. She linked past and present law enforcement officers to the cover-up. The weight of betrayal settled heavily on her shoulders.
This can't be right. There has to be some mistake.
Sarah's voice was very quiet. Her eyes were wide with disbelief. She stared at the incriminating documents before her. Sarah took a deep breath. She prepared herself for what she knew she had to do next.
Brennan, what are you still doing here? It's late.
Chief Garrett's voice startled Sarah. She quickly covered the sensitive documents. Sarah used a folder to hide them. Her heart was racing with anxiety.
Chief, I need to talk to you about something. It's important.
Can't it wait until morning? I'm heading out.
No, sir, it can't. It's about the Sophie Brennan case and some disturbing connections I've found.
Chief Garrett's face hardened. A flicker of something unreadable appeared. It passed across his features.
My office. Now.
The tension in the room was noticeable. Sarah presented the evidence to Chief Garrett. His face grew redder as she spoke. His fists were clenching on the desk. The chief's reaction was intense and visible.
Chief, I don't want to believe it. But the evidence is clear there's been a long-term organized cover-up spanning decades and involves members of our own department. This includes both past and present members of the force.
Do you have any idea what you're implying, Brennan? The ramifications of these accusations?
I do, sir. But we can't ignore this. We have a duty to the truth, to justice.
Justice? Is that what you want to discuss? What about protecting our town? Isn't that a form of justice, too? We're preventing ancient history from tearing us apart.
Sarah recoiled, shocked by the vehemence in Garrett's voice. She had looked up to this man for years. Suddenly, he seemed like a stranger to her.
Chief, are you saying you knew about this?
What I'm saying, Detective, is this. You need to let this go. It's for your own good. It's also for the good of Millbrook.
I can't do that. I won't.
The air was filled with tension. Sarah and Chief Garrett glared at each other. Decades of trust and mentorship had existed between them. Now, their relationship crumbled because of harsh revelations. The atmosphere was charged, as long-standing bonds faced a severe test.
Then you leave me no choice. As of this moment, you're suspended. An internal investigation is pending. Hand over your badge and gun, Brennan.
You can't silence the truth, Chief. I won't let this die. Not again.
Sarah's voice shook with emotion. She felt a mix of anger and resolve. Turning to leave the room, she reached for the door handle. Suddenly, Chief Garrett spoke. His voice made Sarah freeze in place.
Sarah, your grandfather made the same choice you're making now. Don't make his mistakes.
The tension was thick in the air. Sarah stormed out of the office, her world in pieces. But her determination was stronger than ever. She now realized that her fight for justice would be challenging. It would be a lonelier and more perilous journey than she had ever imagined. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across Margaret Brennan's living room. Sarah sat across from her grandmother. Tension filled the air between them. Years of unspoken truths and buried secrets weighed heavily on Margaret. Her shoulders were slumped under the burden.
Grandma, please, I need to know what happened. What was Grandpa's real involvement in Sophie's case?
Sarah, dear, some things are better left in the past. Your grandfather was a good man, but...
But what can I do? I can't keep living with these half-truths. The town and our family are affected. We're all suffocating under the weight of this case. It's time for the truth to come out.
Margaret's hands trembled nervously. She reached for an old journal with a leather cover. It was hidden beneath a loose floorboard. Her eyes were filled with tears she hadn't cried. She met Sarah's determined gaze. The two women shared a moment of unspoken understanding.
Your grandfather, he wasn't just investigating Sophie's murder. He was covering it up.
What? No, that can't be true. Why would he?
The town's most powerful families needed protection. The Holdens and the Garretts were all involved in this effort. Your grandfather believed he was doing the right thing. He thought he was preserving Millbrook's future by protecting these influential families.
Sarah's world turned upside down. The impact of her grandmother's words slowly sank in. The very core of who she thought she was began to shake. Her sense of identity wavered, and her career path suddenly seemed uncertain. Everything she had believed in now felt like it was slipping away.
How deep does this go, Grandma? How many victims?
More than you can imagine, child. The cemetery holds more secrets than just Sophie's.
Hours later, Sarah found herself wandering through Millbrook Cemetery. The setting sun painted the weathered headstones in shades of amber and shadow. Sarah clutched her grandmother's journal tightly to her chest. She moved from grave to grave, connecting names to a network of wrongdoing. Sarah was slowly uncovering a complex mystery.
God, Jack, your family and Chief Garrett's family are all connected. How am I supposed to untangle this mess?
Jack Holden arrived, as if summoned by her thoughts. The crunch of gravel announced his approach. His face showed deep concern. He took in Sarah's haunted expression.
Sarah, what are you doing out here? I've been trying to reach you all afternoon.
Jack, I've discovered something important. It's about our families and the case we're working on. The situation is far worse than we ever imagined.
Sarah's voice cracked with emotion. The burden of family history threatened to overwhelm her. Jack stepped closer to Sarah. His face showed a mix of concern and growing understanding. He looked visibly worried as the realization began to dawn on him.
Tell me, whatever it is, we'll face it together.
The last light faded from the sky. Sarah began to unravel Millbrook's shadowy past. Each revelation was another nail in the coffin of the town's facade. The sins of the fathers hung heavy in the air. A legacy of secrets could no longer remain buried. The town's carefully constructed image was crumbling as Sarah exposed its dark historical secrets. The bell chimed as Sarah Brennan entered Millbrook's only fabric store. A musty scent of old cloth and mothballs filled the air. It transported Sarah back to childhood visits with her grandmother. Today, however, she wasn't here for nostalgia.
Excuse me, I'm Detective Sarah Brennan. I'm looking for information about a red coat. It was sold here in the 1980s.
Oh dear, that's quite a while ago. I'm not sure we'd have records going back that far. but I've been working here for over 40 years. Maybe I can help?
The elderly shopkeeper adjusted her glasses. She peered at Sarah with curiosity. Sarah produced a photograph. It showed Sophie wearing a distinctive red coat.
This coat. It was unique, possibly custom made. Do you remember anything about it?
Oh my, that coat. Yes, I remember it clear as day. It was part of a special order. The order was for the mill owner's daughter. We only made 3 coats like it.
Sarah's heart raced with excitement. This was the first solid lead she had discovered. It had been weeks since her last breakthrough. The new information promised to move her investigation forward significantly.
The mill owner's daughter? Can you tell me more about her?
Clara Holden was a lovely girl. She and her friends were inseparable. They were always giggling in the store. The girls enjoyed trying on fabrics together.
Sarah's mind reeled with sudden realization. Holden was Jack's family name. The clues were beginning to make sense. This connection was something she hadn't anticipated.
Excuse me, I need to take this. Thank you for your help.
Sarah stepped outside. Her thoughts were racing. She answered the call.
Sarah, it's Jack. I've got something you need to see. Meet me at the old mill in 20 minutes.
Jack, wait. I just found out something about your family.
I know, that's why we need to talk. Be careful, Sarah. I think someone's watching you.
The call ended abruptly. Sarah glanced around, suddenly aware of her surroundings. She felt exposed on the main street. Hurrying to her car, Sarah felt uneasy. The weight of her discovery pressed down on her. Sarah navigated the winding road towards the abandoned mill. Her mind raced with possibilities. The connection between Sophie, the Holdens, and the mill was becoming clearer. However, the implications were unsettling. Suddenly, a black SUV swerved into her lane. Sarah jerked the wheel, narrowly avoiding a collision. Her car spun out of control. It wobbled near the edge of the steep embankment, teetering dangerously.
Jesus Christ!
Sarah's heart was pounding. She managed to regain control of the vehicle. The SUV had vanished from sight. This was no accident. Someone wanted her off this case permanently. It was clear that dangerous forces were at work, trying to stop her investigation by any means necessary. Sarah was shaken but determined. She pulled over to collect herself. Then, she reached for her phone.
Jack, it's Sarah. Someone just tried to run me off the road. I'm okay, but this is bigger than we thought. We need to be careful.
Christ, Sarah. Are you sure you're all right? Maybe we should call this off.
No. We're close to something. I can feel it. I'll be there soon. Just watch your back.
Sarah ended the call and looked at the old mill in the distance. The crumbling outline seemed to hold both answers and dangers. She took a deep breath and put the car in gear. Sarah pressed on, following the mysterious trail. It led her deeper into the dark center of Millbrook. Night had fallen over Millbrook. Long shadows stretched across Jack's cluttered apartment. The walls were covered in newspaper clippings, photographs, and handwritten notes. This was a visual display of their complex investigation. Sarah stood before the makeshift evidence board. Her eyes darted from one connection to another. Meanwhile, Jack paced behind her. He ran a hand through his disheveled hair.
Jack, I think we're finally seeing the big picture here. This goes way beyond Sophie's murder.
I understand the situation. It's truly overwhelming. The number of people involved is staggering. Years of cover-ups have taken place. How did this escape everyone's notice? The scale of the deception is hard to comprehend.
People saw what they wanted to see. A perfect little town with its secrets safely buried.
Sarah's fingers moved along 2 photographs. One photo was of Sophie Brennan. The other was from a more recent missing person case. Sarah's forehead creased as she discovered a new connection between them.
Look at this. The same signature appears on both missing persons reports. This is no longer a mere coincidence.
Chief Garrett's mentor is involved. Detective, this is a serious matter. It implicates half of the police force. The implications span the last 3 decades. This situation affects a large portion of law enforcement and has far-reaching consequences.
A deep silence descended between them. The impact of their discovery sank in. Sarah turned to face Jack. Her expression revealed a blend of determination and vulnerability.
Jack, we can't turn back now. This situation could destroy everything. Are you sure you're ready? Do you understand what comes next?
Sarah, I've been waiting my whole life for this. I want to uncover the truth about this town. Something happened to my aunt, and I need answers. I'm all in, no matter what it costs.
Their eyes met across the room. A moment of unspoken understanding passed between them. Sarah felt a wave of affection in her chest. She was grateful for Jack's constant support. Sarah stepped closer to Jack. Her hand reached hesitantly for his.
Thank you. I couldn't do this without you.
Jack held her hand tightly. The touch felt electric. For a moment, the horrors of their investigation faded away. They were replaced by something softer and more intimate, but the spell was quickly broken. Sarah's phone buzzed harshly, interrupting the moment.
It's my contact at the mill. They've spotted unusual activity near the old storage area.
Tonight? That's not a coincidence. We need to get down there.
Sarah nodded and reached for her jacket. The gentle moment between them ended. It was quickly replaced by the familiar focus of the hunt.
Grab your camera. If we're lucky, we might finally catch them in the act.
An hour had passed. Sarah and Jack hid in the shadows near the old mill. The abandoned building structure was decaying. It loomed ominously against the night sky full of stars. Tension filled the thick air. A musty smell of rotting wood surrounded them.
Whispering. There, by the side entrance. 2 figures.
Sarah squinted in the dim light. Her heart was racing with anticipation. She recognized one of the shadowy figures in the distance.
Hushed. That's Chief Garrett. What's he doing here at this hour?
Jack raised his camera in the still night air. The soft click of the shutter was very quiet. Suddenly, a beam of light cut through the darkness. The light swept towards Jack's position.
They've seen us. Run.
Sarah and Jack bolted from their hiding spot. The sound of heavy footsteps and shouted commands echoed behind them. They raced through the overgrown grounds. They dodged rusted machinery and crumbling walls. The pair fled desperately, their pursuers close on their heels.
This way, through the old loading bay.
They ducked into a narrow passage. Darkness enveloped them as they moved. Sarah's breath came in ragged gasps. Her mind was racing with thoughts. They now had the crucial evidence, but at what cost did they obtain it? As they emerged on the other side, realization struck. There was no going back from this point. The truth was finally coming to light. Millbrook would never be the same again. The sun had barely risen. Sarah Brennan approached her apartment door. She was exhausted from another late night reviewing case files. As she reached for her keys, a chill ran down her spine. The door was slightly ajar. Wood was splintered around the lock.
Oh God, no.
Sarah pushed the door open. Her hand automatically reached for her service weapon. The sight that greeted her was shocking. It filled her with dread. Her apartment had been completely ransacked. Furniture was overturned, and papers were scattered all around.
They were here, they know.
Sarah's eyes darted around the room. She was assessing the damage. Her gaze fell on her desk. Her case files should have been there. They were gone.
Damn it.
Sarah's heart was pounding. She quickly pulled out her phone. With shaky fingers, she dialed a familiar number.
Sarah? It's 6 a.m. What's going on?
Jack, I need you. My apartment's been broken into. They took everything on the case.
Jesus, are you okay? I'm on my way.
Sarah ended the call and took a deep breath. She was trying to calm her nerves. As she surveyed the chaos, something caught her eye. A glint of metal had attracted her attention. She moved closer to investigate. Sarah brushed aside some scattered papers.
What the hell?
A small camera was well concealed. Sarah discovered its presence. Her blood ran cold at the realization. The hidden device shocked her to her core.
They've been watching me. How long? How much do they know?
An hour had passed. Sarah was now in Chief Garrett's office. The office was located at the police station. Sarah's face revealed her controlled anger.
Detective Brennan, I'm afraid I have no choice. You're suspended from duty, effective immediately.
Chief, you can't do this. We're close to breaking this case wide open.
That's exactly the problem, Sarah. You're too close to this case. Your obsession is compromising the entire department.
Obsession? This is about justice, about finding the truth.
The truth? Or your family's redemption? Turn in your badge and gun. This discussion is over.
Sarah stood there, stunned. The reality of her situation hit her hard. She slowly placed her badge and gun on the chief's desk. Her hand trembled slightly as she did so. As Sarah left the station, she felt her colleagues' eyes on her. Some looked sympathetic, while others seemed accusatory. She stepped out into the morning sunlight. Sarah felt more alone than ever before.
Sarah! I just heard. This is insane.
Jack jogged up to her. Concern was etched on his face.
They're trying to shut me down, Jack. But I can't stop now. I'm too close.
What are you going to do?
Sarah's eyes hardened. She was filled with determination. She looked at her friend.
I'm going rogue. Will you help me?
You know I will. But Sarah, this is dangerous. We don't know how deep this goes.
I know, but I have to finish this. For Sophie, for my grandfather, for all of us.
As they walked away from the station, Sarah felt conflicting emotions. A mix of fear and resolve washed over her. She was isolated and under threat. Despite this, Sarah was more determined than ever. She would uncover the truth, no matter the cost. The sun had barely risen. Long shadows stretched across the abandoned mill. The mill stood on the outskirts of Millbrook. Detective Sarah Brennan approached in the chilly morning air. Her breath formed small clouds as she walked. She neared the old, crumbling building cautiously. Her eyes darted from side to side. She watched for any sign of movement.
This has to be it, the final piece of the puzzle.
Sarah's hand moved to her holster. She was nearing the meeting point. Her informant promised crucial information. Years of investigation had taught Sarah caution. She knew to always be alert and prepared. A figure emerged from behind an old, rusty machine. Sarah tensed momentarily at the sudden appearance. She then recognized the face of her whistleblower.
I was beginning to think you wouldn't show.
Detective Brennan, I was hesitant to come here. I've seen things that have changed everything. With this new knowledge, I can't stay silent any longer.
The man's voice trembled. His eyes darted nervously around the abandoned mill. Sarah took a step closer. Her voice was low and reassuring.
You're doing the right thing. Whatever you know could help bring justice. It's not just for Sophie, but for all the others too. Please tell me what you've found.
It's worse than you think. There's a cover-up going on. It reaches all the way to the top. I have documents and records as proof. These files reveal the truth behind the concealment.
The informant's words were suddenly interrupted. A sharp crack echoed through the mill. Sarah's instincts kicked in immediately. She dove for cover, pulling the whistleblower with her to safety.
Get down.
Bullets whizzed past. They hit the rusty machinery nearby. Sarah's heart pounded as she assessed their situation. With growing dread, she realized they were surrounded. The danger was closing in from all sides.
Detective Brennan, we know you're in there. Come out now and we can discuss this reasonably.
The familiar voice of Chief Garrett rang out. A chill ran down Sarah's spine. Her superior was also a family friend. Now he was revealed as part of the conspiracy. Sarah had been fighting to uncover this plot.
Chief, what the hell is going on?
You've dug too deep, Sarah. Some secrets are meant to stay buried. For the good of Millbrook.
Sarah's mind raced as she searched for a way out. She turned to the whistleblower for help. The whistleblower's face had gone pale with fear.
We need to move. Is there another way out of here?
There's a back exit through the old loading docks, but they'll be watching it.
Sarah nodded grimly. Her resolve was hardening. She had come too far to give up now.
This is our only chance. We'll make a run for it on my signal. No matter what happens, protect those documents.
Sarah prepared to make her move. She couldn't help but think of her grandfather. She wondered if he had faced a similar moment of truth years ago. The weight of her family's painful history weighed heavily on her. A desperate need for justice pushed her forward.
Now.
Sarah and the informant bolted from their hiding spot. They zigzagged through the maze of old machinery. Bullets pinged off metal all around them. They raced towards the back of the mill, desperate to escape the danger.
Stop them. Don't let them escape.
As they neared the loading docks, Sarah could see daylight. It was shining through the gaps of the old wooden doors. Freedom was just yards away, but uncertainty loomed. Conspirators were closing in from all sides. Sarah knew that stepping through the doorway would change everything.
Almost there. Don't stop.
Sarah made one final push. She reached for the door handle. Her fingers just brushed the cold metal. Suddenly, the world seemed to slow down. Sarah felt a searing pain in her side. She stumbled, her vision blurring. Sarah turned to see the informant's terrified face. The fate of the investigation hung in the balance. The truth about Sophie was at stake. Sarah's own life was in danger. Darkness began to creep in at the edges of her vision.
No, not now. Not when we're so close.
Sarah's consciousness was fading away. The last thing she saw was a pair of familiar shoes. These shoes were approaching her. The truth was within Sarah's grasp, but would she live long enough to reveal it? Before we continue, let's take a moment to reflect. What are your thoughts about this story? What would you like to hear next? Please share your ideas in the comments. The moonless night cloaked rural Millbrook in darkness. Sarah Brennan's ragged breaths broke the eerie silence. She crouched behind an old, rusted tractor. Her pursuers' footsteps were growing ever closer. The complete darkness of the countryside heightened Sarah's fear as she hid from those chasing her.
Come on, thinks Sarah. There has to be a way out of this.
Suddenly, a hand grasped her shoulder. Sarah whirled around, ready to fight. She found herself looking straight at someone. It was a familiar face, yet a surprising ally.
Detective Brennan, this way. Quickly.
The evidence technician, Emily, motioned urgently. She pointed towards a concealed path. Without hesitation, Sarah followed. Her mind was racing with questions.
Emily? What are you doing here? How did you find me?
I've been monitoring the department's communications. I heard about an ambush plan for you. I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Come on, my car is parked nearby.
As they reached Emily's car, Sarah's phone suddenly vibrated. It was Jack calling.
Sarah? Are you okay? I just heard about an incident near the old Miller farm.
Jack, thank God I'm fine, but it was close. Listen, I need a safe place to lay low. Can you help?
Of course. I know just the spot for our meeting. Meet me at the abandoned lighthouse. Be there in an hour. The location is off the grid and secure.
An hour passed. Sarah and Emily arrived at the lighthouse. The building was old and run down. Jack was already there. His face showed deep concern.
Sarah, I'm so glad you're safe. And Emily, right? Thanks for helping her.
It was the right thing to do. The corruption in this town runs deeper than any of us realized.
They settled into the lighthouse. The structure was full of dust. Sarah felt her resolve grow stronger.
All right, we need to pool our information. Jack, what have you uncovered on your end?
I've been investigating the town's financial records. There's a pattern of suspicious transactions dating back decades. All of these are linked to a shell company. You won't believe who the company is registered to. It's your grandfather's old partner from the police force.
What? That can't be a coincidence. Emily, let me ask you something. What about the evidence we found? Remember, it was in that hidden attic space.
I've been analyzing it non-stop. Sarah, the DNA results are back. We have matches to 3 unsolved disappearances from the 1990s. All of these cases involve young women. There's more evidence to consider. Fibers found on Sophie Brennan's clothing match those from 2 other victims. This connection provides a crucial link in our investigation.
Sarah's mind raced as she connected the dots. She felt the weight of generational secrets. Corruptions from the past seemed to press down on her shoulders. The realization of long-hidden family truths overwhelmed her, linking present mysteries to historical deceptions.
This situation is bigger than we initially thought. It's no longer just about Sophie. We're uncovering a cover-up that spans decades. This involves multiple crimes.
Someone is behind this secret. They are willing to kill to keep it hidden. Sarah, we need to be careful. We must think carefully about our next steps.
You're right about that. We can't back down at this point. Too many lives have been ruined already. We must reveal everything to the public. The situation is critical, and exposing the truth is our responsibility now.
Dawn broke over Millbrook. The trio worked tirelessly on their project. They were piecing together an exposé. Unknown to them, their efforts had an impact. Shockwaves were already spreading through the town. Crowds gathered on Main Street. People were whispering about rumors of corruption and cover-ups. Outside the police station, Chief Garrett paced nervously. His phone was buzzing incessantly. The atmosphere was tense, as citizens and law enforcement alike seemed on edge about the unfolding situation.
This is Chief Garrett. What do you mean, leaked documents? Who's responsible for this?
The sun climbed higher in the sky. Millbrook teetered on the edge of chaos. A long-buried truth was clawing its way to the surface. Nothing would ever be the same again. The town stood at a turning point, with secrets threatening to upend everything. Early morning light filtered through the windows of Millbrook's town hall. Sarah Brennan and Jack Holden prepared to unveil a long-hidden truth. The air was thick with tension. Town officials and curious residents gathered for the meeting. They thought it would be a routine gathering. However, they were unaware of the revelations to come.
This is it, Jack. Are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be. Let's hope this doesn't tear the town apart.
Sarah nodded grimly. Her hand shook a bit as she reached for the door handle. They entered the main chamber. A hush fell over the crowd.
Detective Brennan, Mr. Holden, I wasn't aware you were on the agenda today.
We're not, Chief. But what we have to say can't wait any longer.
Sarah's voice rang out clear and strong. She began to present their findings. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the audience. She revealed evidence of long-term corruption. The evidence also uncovered years of cover-ups.
This is preposterous. You can't possibly expect us to believe.
We have documents, testimonies, and physical evidence. It's all here, and it's irrefutable.
As Jack finished speaking, chaos erupted. Some officials tried to flee. Others sat frozen in shock. Sarah looked directly at Chief Garrett. The chief had gone pale.
It's over, Chief. We know everything.
Sarah, please. You don't understand what you're doing.
Outside, sirens wailed as state police arrived. The police were there to make arrests. The scene then shifted to the police station. Inside, Sarah confronted Chief Garrett in the interrogation room.
I want the truth. All of it. Starting with my grandfather's involvement.
Your grandfather? He wasn't corrupt, Sarah. He was protecting you.
Protecting me? From what?
Chief Garrett's shoulders sagged. He had been carrying the weight of secrets for decades. Finally, the burden was taking its toll.
Sophie Brennan wasn't just another victim. She was your aunt, Sarah. Your father's twin sister.
What? That's impossible.
Your grandfather knew about a dangerous truth. If revealed, this truth would destroy your family. He chose to keep it hidden. His decision was to protect you and your father.
Sarah staggered back. Her world was spinning. Everything she thought she knew was changing. Her understanding of her family was crumbling. Her sense of self was falling apart. The reality she had always believed in was suddenly uncertain, leaving her feeling lost and confused.
And the others? The network of predators we uncovered?
It grew beyond what any of us could control. We thought we were containing the damage. In reality, we were just feeding the monster. The situation escalated rapidly, defying our attempts at management. Our efforts to limit the problem only served to worsen it, unknowingly fueling a crisis that continued to grow unchecked.
As the full truth unfolded, Sarah experienced mixed emotions. She felt both horror and relief simultaneously. The case had been a defining part of her life. It was finally solved, bringing closure. However, Sarah questioned the cost of this resolution.
Sarah? Are you okay?
Jack's voice broke through her thoughts. He stood in the doorway. His face showed concern. The sudden interruption caught her attention, drawing her gaze to Jack's worried expression as he lingered at the entrance.
It's done, Jack. It's finally over.
They stepped out of the station and saw Millbrook transformed. Police cars lined the streets of the town. Shocked residents gathered in small groups, whispering about the ongoing situation. Sarah knew that one chapter had closed. Another chapter was just beginning for her family and town. It would be a long process of healing for everyone. The autumn air hung heavy with a sense of finality. Sarah Brennan stood at the edge of the newly excavated site. The dig was located in the dense woods outside Millbrook. Years of searching and decades of secrets had passed. Generations of pain had led to this moment. Sarah felt the weight of history as she gazed at the freshly uncovered earth.
This is it. We finally found her.
Sarah's voice was barely above a whisper. Her eyes were fixed on the red fabric visible in the dirt. The iconic coat had haunted her family for so long. Now it marked Sophie Brennan's final resting place. This grim discovery confirmed their worst fears about Sophie's fate.
Detective Brennan, we've confirmed the DNA match. These are indeed Sophie's remains.
Thank you. Please, give me a moment.
The forensic team respectfully retreated from the scene. Sarah knelt beside the grave, her emotions rising. Her hand hovered over a piece of tattered red fabric. Tears welled in her eyes as she struggled to maintain composure. A lifetime of pent-up feelings finally broke through her defenses.
I'm so sorry, Sophie. We should have found you sooner. But you can rest now. Your story will be told.
Hours later, Sarah arrived at her grandmother's house. She found herself standing on the porch. The impact of recent revelations weighed heavily on her. Sarah took a deep breath. She paused, then prepared to knock on the door.
Sarah, what are you doing here?
Margaret Brennan's voice was guarded. Her eyes, however, told a different story. They revealed a mix of concern and resignation.
Grandma, we found her. We found Sophie. I think it's time we talked. Really talked.
Oh, my dear. Come in. It's long overdue, isn't it?
Sarah stepped into the familiar living room. Her eyes noticed a faded photograph on the mantel. It showed her grandfather in his police detective outfit. He stood proud and determined in the picture.
Grandma, I need to know everything. I want to learn about Sophie. I also want to know about Grandpa. Why has our family been dealing with this problem for so long?
Sit down, Sarah. It's a long and painful story, but you deserve to hear it all.
Margaret's hands trembled slightly. She carefully poured the tea. The delicate cups tapped softly. A deep silence filled the room. The atmosphere was tense and heavy.
Your grandfather was a good man, Sarah, but he made mistakes. We all did. The night Sophie disappeared, he was closer to the truth than anyone realized. But powerful people we trusted, pushed him away from it.
Who, Grandma? Who was involved?
It goes deeper than you can imagine, dear. The mill owners, the mayor at the time, and even some in the police force were involved. They created a complex network of deception that your grandfather couldn't unravel. In the end, this situation overwhelmed him.
Sarah listened intently to her grandmother's revelations. Her detective's mind began connecting fragments of truth. These were truths she had uncovered over the years. As the full picture emerged, Sarah felt conflicted. She experienced a strange mix of vindication and sorrow.
Why didn't you ever tell me this before?
Fear and shame led to a misguided attempt to protect you. I now realize that the silence only hurt you more. Can you forgive an old woman for her mistakes?
Sarah reached out and took her grandmother's hand. She felt the weight of years of guilt and secrecy. These feelings had kept them apart for so long. Now, their connection began to heal.
There's nothing to forgive, Grandma. We're family. We carry this together now.
As night fell, Sarah stood by the window. She was holding a well-maintained red coat. The coat had become a symbol of both tragedy and closure. Sarah thought of Sophie and her grandfather. She reflected on the town's dark secrets finally being revealed.
It's over now. We can all rest. And tomorrow, we make sure justice is finally served.
For the first time in years, Sarah felt a change. The heavy burden of her family's history began to lift slightly. The ghosts of the past weren't completely gone. However, Sarah could now face them in the light of day. This new ability brought a sense of relief and hope for the future. Dawn breaks over Millbrook. The sky is painted in hues of pink and gold. The town, once hidden in mystery, now stirs with new understanding. An abandoned mill stands as a symbol of decay. It observes the first light of a new era. This transformation marks the beginning of a fresh chapter for Millbrook and its residents.
It's over. We did it, Jack. We finally brought the truth to light.
Yeah, we did. But at what cost, Sarah? Look around. The town will never be the same.
Sarah and Jack stand at the side of Main Street. They watch as people begin to leave their homes early in the morning. The faces of these people show a mix of relief and worry. There's a sense that recent news has deeply affected everyone. The impact of this new information hangs heavily in the air around them.
The cost of lies was far greater. The victims and their families suffered greatly. They deserved to know the truth. This was necessary, even if it was painful.
You're right. I just hope Millbrook can heal from this.
As they walk, they pass by the police station. Chief Garrett's office is dark, with the blinds drawn. Several officers watch Sarah suspiciously as she passes.
Detective Brennan, we didn't know. About the chief, about any of it.
I believe you, Officer Chen. It's time for all of us to move forward, to rebuild trust.
Sarah's words seemed to lift a weight from the young officer's shoulders. They continue their walk through the town. More townspeople approach them as they go.
Thank you, Detective. My sister disappeared 30 years ago. We have finally learned what happened to her.
I'm so sorry for your loss. I hope knowing the truth brings you some peace.
Sarah's voice wavers slightly. The emotional toll of the case is finally showing. It breaks through her professional demeanor. Jack places a comforting hand on her shoulder.
You've given a lot of families closure, Sarah. That's something to be proud of.
I understand. I can't stop thinking about my grandfather. He must have experienced a difficult time. He knew something but couldn't prove it. This situation weighs heavily on my mind, imagining the frustration and helplessness he must have felt.
They arrive at a small, newly erected memorial garden. A plaque stands in the garden. It bears the names of all the victims. Sophie Brennan's name is at the top of the list.
Sophie and all the others. They can rest now. We've done what my grandfather couldn't.
What will you do now, Sarah? Stay in Millbrook?
I don't know. Part of me wants to run as far from here as possible. But another part...
Sarah trails off, her eyes fixed on the memorial. The rising sun casts a warm glow on the plaque. It highlights the names of those long lost.
Another part wants to stay and help rebuild? To make sure nothing like this ever happens again?
Yeah, exactly that. This town, it's broken, but it's also home.
Jack nods, understanding Sarah's complex feelings. They stand in silence for a moment. Together, they pay their respects to the victims. They contemplate what the future might hold.
Whatever you decide, Sarah, I'm here. We're in this together.
Together? I like the sound of that.
The sun climbs higher in the sky. It casts long shadows across the memorial garden. Sarah and Jack turn to face the town of Millbrook. The community stretches before them, changed but not broken. In the distance stands the old mill, a reminder of the past. Meanwhile, the bustling Main Street points towards the future. It's a future full of possibility and hope.
Come on, Jack. We've got work to do.
Sarah and Jack share a look of determination. They walk back into town together. They are ready to face upcoming challenges. A new chapter begins for Millbrook. The pair's resolve marks the start of a fresh beginning for their community. The story is over. Thank you for listening. Please write a comment about the story. Tell me what you think. I will read all your comments. I'll reply to each of you personally. See you next time.